It's huge.
Paul, before you put down this new layer of wood chips, how long was the last layer on there for?
I was blessed when I prayed for wood chips. God caused the Department of Transportation to chip trees for the whole summer. And I put wood chips in my orchard 16 inches deep and right up to the tree trunks, which you were told you can't do. Everybody hearing me? You can't put stuff up against tree trunks. Come on, people who've been to school, validate.
No, bury the crown, it dies. That's what they tell you.
That's what they tell you. But if you go to nature, when the wind blows, needles and leaves bank up against tree trunks a foot and a half deep. No one moves, and the trees are fine. And here, can you imagine the insanity of creating little spaces around your trees for all kinds of weeds and garbage to fall into to keep it away from the tree? So I packed wood chips 16 inches deep right over the tree trunks 14 years ago. And I did nothing for 14 years. It was awesome.
That's great.
It was awesome.
Until this year.
So now I'm starting to put a new cover on. But when you dig into this stuff, when you get out, you're going to find when you get down into it, it is so awesome, so deep, so incredibly beautiful. And you see, I built a foundation. Here's what I love about God. You see these poor farmers that go to school and go into debt to get this great education? This is reality. I want you all to hear me. They're spending more and more each year to produce less and less. That's the reality of American agribusiness. Spend more, produce less. Now that's got to be hard on the human psyche, especially as you get older. Here's the beauty of this environment. Every year, I'm doing less and less work and getting a higher and higher return. I love God. And in the owner's manual, he makes a statement. He says, it's good for a man to bear the yoke in his youth. If you want to have something good and quality, work hard up front. But if you do it right up front, it'll carry you throughout your life. And as you get older and can do less, it'll hold you. And I'm looking at this, and you're going to see the production happening here, man. It will be impossible for me to ever be able to even come close to consuming a portion of what I grow. I never go to the store ever, for anything. I have everything I need here the entire year, and you're looking at me like, really? Look at all the mammals in nature. They don't go to stores. You're laughing. And they eat well. And they have plenty. And it's so amazing how we believe the lie, like, you gotta get your food from stores. I'm telling you, the stuff in the store is poisonous. It's totally unfit for humans to eat. So, for you who are going to the store still, let me give you a word of advice. Take your dog with you. If your dog won't eat it, you better not eat it. It's poisonous. I'm being real. My wife loves stores. She enjoys buying things, and it's okay. I don't have a problem with it. She went and bought this organic lettuce in January. So I didn't have any. I'm gonna wait. I'm fine. I had Swiss chard and cilantro. I'm good. So she bought this organic lettuce. Some of the outer leaves were wilted, so she picks them off and throws them in for the chickens. I watched the chickens would not eat that lettuce. They're eating avocado peels, but they wouldn't eat the lettuce. And I told her, I says, Carol, that's just poisonous. It may have been labeled organic, but my chickens knew better.
Yeah.
See, animals, can I tell you about animals? Animals didn't separate from God. You know, the word says all of nature is groaning and travailing, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. See, all of nature is connected to the Father and are following by instinct how to live. And they know exactly what to eat and when to eat it and what not to. Instinctively. They have brains like we do, but they never let their brain override their instinct. They're all led by their instinct. And they can't figure out what's wrong with us. That's why they're groaning and travailing. What is wrong with those people? Don't they get it? Because to them it's so obvious. And so my chickens tell me all the time what's safe to eat. If I have a question, I'll just run by my chickens. They don't eat it, I'm not going to, because they know. I'm just telling you, man, I have these major resources here of incredible intelligence and wisdom that I use and my dogs are hilarious. When my dogs are vegans. I don't give them dog food. They eat everything out of the garden. Hi, Joe. Good to see you. And people come here and I watch them pull carrots out of the ground in the wintertime and say, your dog just pulling a carrot out. Oh, well, she's going to eat it. And she does. And they act like it's unusual. Like, what? I said, the dog's not dumb. He knows what food is. And they enjoy it. And so, it's just, I'm telling you, man, it's just so bizarre, you know, how we think.
How long does it take your apple tree, how long did it take them to start producing from the time you planted them?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. When I came here, this soil was, this was a Craig farm. They had a whole bunch of cows in here. They had chemically fertilized the lawn. And I never saw a worm when I tilled. It was so pathetic. And I was 5 to 7 years before I saw fruit. But I planted a tree 2 years ago, Liberty apple, in the first year I took 30 apples off because the branches were going to break. And you're going to see here shortly where I grafted last year into my trees, a pear graft, and I stopped counting at 30 pairs on a graft last year. So it's all about soil nutrient density. It has nothing to do with the tree, it has nothing to do with the rootstock, it has everything to do with what it's eating. It's all, you know, you are what you eat, if you think about it. You see plants, whether plants, animals, or people, create cells from what they eat. If you're eating good food, you create good cells. If you're eating lousy food, you create lousy cells. It's simple science.
Well, Paul, do you lay up for the winter, or is there anything here that you harvest?
No, you see, nothing in
year-round?
nature, maybe a few squirrels and people, but nothing in nature lays up. And so when you lay up, the stuff is dead.
Yeah.
And so I have live food in my garden the whole year. Live food.
So you get no frost here? You get
I have
no-
frost, I have snow, but if you look in nature at 40 below zero in Canada, anybody here from Canada where it gets 40 below zero?
You got one hand back 40 below zero, not 40 below.
Okay, but how cold does it get?
Oh, not very cold.
Okay, but if you get up like up northern part, you know, Alberta, way up in there, it gets 40 below. You know, nothing in nature dies in the winter. Did you hear me? Are you aware of that? Nothing in nature is dying in the winter at 40 below zero. But all the farms that live next to nature that have exposed dirt, everything in their farm freezes and dies. You know why nothing died in nature? Because the ground's insulated. And so my carrots in the winter when the ground's frozen are far sweeter than they are in the summer because the frost brings up the sugar. And so my food in the winter is way better tasting than the summer. And I have live food in the garden all winter. And the frost and snow is not an issue. No problem. Again, in nature, animals, except the bear, a few who hibernate, are eating all winter long.
But I remember my mom pulling a carrot. The part that was froze was spoiled. And the part that wasn't froze was good.
Yeah.
She'd chop the top out.
I had a guy come here from Canada, an organic farmer, and he came in February. And I'm walking through my garden and he sees these carrots. So you can't eat those. I says, what? I'm eating them every day. I says, pull one up, and it was so hilarious. The guy's like, you know, he gets himself set up because you know it's big. He fell over because it came out of the ground so easy. And he couldn't believe it. And then he looks at it and says, wow, and he ate it and says, I never had a carrot so sweet. And he says, you're telling me you can't eat them? But that's his reality in exposed dirt. You know, again, it's just so pathetic how we live. But it's completely unrealistic. It's not supposed to be. Let's head over here and get something to eat.
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
while we're walking, what time do you plant for your fall carrots?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. These are such great questions. See, I used to plant my fall gardens in June, but a couple of years ago I did, and in August they were so big I knew they weren't going to make it through the winter, and so in desperation I planted in August, and they did fine. I'm now planting. See, when you have nutrient soil, you have to adjust your growing times because things grow too fast. So now my fall planting is in August when it used to be June, because things grow quick. So you're always having to adjust with abundance. It's kind of challenging, but you're having to adjust because abundance will blow you away. You can't. It'll take you over because it's awesome.
So what's there besides carrots that you can grow?
Oh, in the wintertime I have for greens, I have kale. You see all this, we're gonna come a whole bunch of kale over here. And I plant kale for my chickens too because they love it. It's their favorite food and it's really nutritious. And the kale grows all winter long. And actually when it freezes it gets a lot sweeter. And so in the wintertime I have kale, I have beets, I have rutabagas, turnips, parsnips, and they're just awesome. And then I grow potatoes, and everybody, potatoes, regardless of the stupid stuff you read in books, is probably the most amazing survival food that exists. It'll support you the whole year, requires no refrigeration, and I can eat potatoes every day all winter long and be totally good because it's delicious, they're good. And you see what's so weird about our culture? We have these 5 and 6 course meals. You following me? Which is really hard on your body because you can see what requires digestion of carbohydrates and protein is different. And when you confuse them together, that really flips the body out, and so you get poor digestion. That's why you have gas and don't feel good. If you look at nature, animals eat one thing, like grass, their entire lives. That's all they eat, and they do quite well. And so what I'm finding is that when you start having nutrient-dense food, I could be having this kale every day in the wintertime, and I'm fine. I'm not bored with it. And what also I'm noticing is the volume. I eat so little. You know what I'm doing now for the last 6 months? My only breakfast every day is an apple. And I go all day long, I have no lunch. And I feel totally good. Because it's nutrient dense. It has something there.
Look at the cherries on here.
Yeah. Now again, I want you to connect this 20-year younger tree than that one. See, Joe? That tree right over there? That's a Royal Land cherry that was planted 37 years ago. I was here. My neighbors did it. This is planted 17 years ago. This is 20 years younger. Look at the size and color difference. Look at the amount of cherries on it. And while we're here, anybody knows about strawberries? Do strawberries grow in full shade?
No, never.
Look at them. We're talking this is full shade. It's full shade. Look how quite well they're doing. I just want you to start waking up to the reality that it's lies. And it's all coming from default. Now here, I want people to start tasting really cool stuff. This plant here, you see this garden, aside from the onions? I planted all of the scales and this plant here all the same day. You see how much bigger this is than all of that? This plant here is called Holland Greens. And it's the most amazing, fast-growing thing on the planet. And you see now everyone knows that stems are tough and bitter. Where's Joe?
Oh, you pick on me?
Because this guy knows what good food is. Now I want you to start the stem because they're usually tough and bitter. And notice the flavor and the sweetness and how much water's in it.
Wait, you don't even need olive oil.
Yeah.
Delicious.
And what is this called, Paul?
This is called Holland Greens. Now listen, you pick down to the stem and take it off because you don't leave a stump. Start the stem. Everybody pick this and snap it off the stem and eat it. Don't step on my tail. Isn't that good? Isn't that good? And you notice how much water is in it. You're not having to drink a glass of water with this. And it seems can I tell you? Listen to me. I want to tell you about water, you guys. I grew up in Los Angeles in the 50s, where Los Angeles is a desert. It's really hot there. 90 degrees, 100 all summer. When I was a child in Los Angeles, water bottles did not exist. It didn't exist. There was no such thing. Because back in that day, food grew in soil that had roots and had water in it. And we're hydrated with our food. Today, people are drinking water for their meals because there's no water in the food. It's totally dry. And the reason is, Joe, it has no roots. Because it's hard compacted ground, they have no roots, they can't take up water. The water doesn't, the farmer's watering, but there's no roots to take it up. Plant's not getting it. Where in this stuff full of air, roots go everywhere. And they're pulling up under the water.
So how deep are these plants in the wood when you plant?
When I do my garden, I bring my rake. I only use two tools in this garden. An asparagus knife for moving everything and a rake. I take my rake and I grate everything out. I make a little groove about that deep. I plant my seeds and I cover it. That's it. If you notice in these stupid packages you buy seeds, they say plant an inch and a half deep. Have you noticed in nature how seeds are planted? They lay on top of the ground. And no one buries them. And they all grow.
Right.
Excuse me. And I'm supposed to put this an inch and a half deep in the ground? Well, if you do that, it's not going to come up. It takes forever. I'm just telling you, man, the stuff they tell us is like nuts and makes everything not work. It's just like crazy.
When you put the seeds in, then do you water?
If it's not raining, I water. Because you got to keep it wet. And once they're up, you look at this. Look how quick that gets wet down there. See that? See, it's right there. This never dries out at the root level. And can I tell you something cool? You gardeners, all you gardeners, listen to me. You know why you have weeds in your garden?
Because I rototill.
That's the first reason. And the second reason is because you water.
Yes.
Because you're watering, every weed seed that blows in germinates. If you don't water, the weed seed falling on this right now is not going to germinate. It's dry.
So won't these guys die if I don't water? I don't have wood.
With your hand, go down to the ground and move it and see how quick it gets wet.
Right there.
Right there, and that's where the roots are. And that will never change. See, if you notice in nature, see these fir trees out here? You've all seen them blow over if you live here in the wind. They have shallow roots. No one waters them, and they stay green all year because they have a covering that holds water. I'm telling you, it's so basic, it's so simple.
So Paul, would you say if I were to go home and just throw wood chips
In my garden?
in my garden just right now?
Around your, if you have a garden, just around your plants, cover the wood chips, and just walk off and watch how they change.
Pay attention to the flavor. It'll
Well,
change
watch-
shortly.
You don't gotta water it like once to seal that
If they're
moisture?
already growing, just cover the ground and hold the water there and go and enjoy a vacation. Talk on your phone or visit your friends because the garden doesn't need you.
What about on a raised bed?
Raised beds, glad you asked. Raised beds are one of those lies they told us about. They make life easier. If you have raised beds, you know you're watering all the time, every day, because it dries out, because it's above grade, the air sucks all the water out. So knock out the sides, cover the wood chips, and you're good.
So, Paul,
Fill the holes.
Yeah, just raise the grade with wood chips, just raise the whole grade, you're fine.
Sorry.
Paul, how long did it take you to get this soil structure that we have right here?
Can I tell you what's so cool about the Creator? I love repentance. Repentance is just doing things right. As soon as you put a cover on, you're going to see results immediately because as soon as the water goes through that material, it creates compost heat, and the plants instantly get more food. And I get people tell me with their trees, I can't believe my trees, the leaves are getting greener and bigger. We're talking about, it's awesome. And over time, it's just progressive. It's better and better. But it happens immediately, and it's all about repentance. Start to do things right. Yeah, eat that stuff. Isn't that good? That kale? Are people starting to notice the stuff you're eating is different than what you bought? I want you to get it. What's the name of this kale? This is a variety I have. I've never had before. This came from Africa. This one right here is 2 rows. The next one is lacinato, and the other one's Russian kale. That's Africa. Never had before. Tell me about it. I love these comments. Yeah. And I'm not. Excuse me.
I can't remember.
This one here is Holland greens. This plant, I'm telling you, will get like this tall. It's just phenomenal. And Joe, I planted all this stuff the same day. Look how much bigger this is than the rest of that stuff.
This one's called what?
Holland greens.
Holland.
Like from the Dutch. And in the catalog, is the insignia says, if you want to feed an army, plant this. Because it's just for major production. It's just like awesome.
And then
Where did you get your seeds from?
Write this down.
I'm putting my
Because most of the seed companies today, all the good seed companies that used to be years ago, are all controlled by Monsanto. All of them. Johnny's, Jung's, Burpees, all of them are controlled by Monsanto. So here's a few that aren't. Seed, Sand Hill Preservation Center. Sand like on the beach, Hill Preservation Center.
Okay.
Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. And Fedco, F-E-D-C-O. Now Fedco does have some hybrid, don't buy those, just buy the genetically modified, heirloom seeds. But they have amazing selection, they got everything. Now let's walk over here and have some asparagus. Because you guys, I have never had anyone ever come here who've ever said, I tell them, you're going to have asparagus like you've never had in your life and no one's ever counted it.
Can I ask about size of chips?
Excuse me?
Can I ask about size of the
Yes.
chips? The wood chips, we're on year 2 and our chips aren't breaking down to this level. They're looking still pretty chunky. Is that okay? I mean, does the size matter?
In nature,
Okay.
there's all different sizes.
Yeah.
There's fine, there's twigs, there's needles and leaves.
Okay.
Can I tell you the advantage of that? You know what happens when the ground gets, when dirt gets dry and the wind blows?
The little stuff blows away.
The dirt blows away, all of it. You know why? Because dirt's all the same size, and they can't adhere. This, because you have multiple sizes, when the wind blows, nothing moves. It all adheres. When you start tracking with the genius of the Creator, how he designs stuff, it's just like amazing. I love it. You look at my orchard, there's not one leaf on the ground because the wind blows here in the winter, it cranks through here. And all the leaves, I love it, but they're all back in my forest somewhere, so I can't even find them. But the wood chips don't move. Everything stays in place. I'm telling you, man, nature is perfect. It's ideal, and it's just so bizarre how we don't get it.
So all the nutrients, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, wood chips can provide all that? Or
Well, track with me. You see, the soil came with all those things. And when the trees grow, they take out of the soil those things to create needles and leaves. That's what they're made from. And when the needles and leaves are put back, they're full of calcium, magnesium, all those minerals are in those leaves and needles, and it's being returned. Conversely, in our culture where you're putting chemicals back with no minerals, you wonder why food doesn't taste good and we're all sick. You know what the foundation of all of life is? The foundation of all of life are minerals. Minerals are the foundation to all of life. Remember when the story of creation, when the Creator came to make the human race? He picked up dirt and he formed the human body from dirt. I'm telling you, man, minerals are the foundation to all of life. And if you don't have minerals, you're not going to live. And you see, all the stuff they're doing to us today, all the food that we're being produced has no mineral content. None. And you wonder why it doesn't taste good and we're all sick. And all these diseases. And this is the beauty of this stuff. I didn't import minerals. I just put wood chips down. And the flavor of the food is screaming at you. I'm full of minerals. I'm loaded. It's awesome. And I didn't do anything. I just took up and put back. It's a simple math, you know. That took out of the ground, return it in the same form.
Paul, do you also compost?
I have my chickens do it all because they have feet that move all the time and they're very good at homogenizing and it saves me a lot of work. My chickens are my soil manufacturing plant.